All right, let's start with microphones. And please shut your cell phones off or mute, if you would. Time being 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Joe.
Here.
Dan.
Here.
Don.
Here.
Wanda. Here. Sherry.
Here, and we have a quorum present. Item number 3, does any commissioner have a reason to abstain for a financial or a non-financial conflict of interest?
No, none. None.
I will be abstaining from agenda item number 2, or 14, number 2, Harbor Lincoln Fox Law Office claim.
All right, and I do not. Item number 4 is approval of the agenda. I would like to move item 17 to after our executive session, so it becomes item 21. Are there any other requests for changes? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Healy, second by Fox to approve the amended agenda. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Now is the time for public comment. And I believe I saw 1 or 2 people sign up, maybe. Sure, come on up. Go ahead and state your name.
Hi, I'm Ryan Heine. I'm here tonight to speak on the RV campground issue, as I don't know if we'll be given a chance to speak on agenda item 10 tonight. The first major flaw in this checklist is that there has been no public input into this, and there's no ordinances behind this. I've been talking about this for years now, it feels like, that there's just a big, huge RV-sized hole in our ordinances. RV parks are not even mentioned, not even covered in our ordinances. And I don't see how a checklist like this is even binding if there's no ordinances behind it. There's nothing there to just say that any future administration just wants to just disregard the whole checklist in the future and go back to having no regulation whatsoever. I also find it a little concerning that it's being authored by the largest concentrated RV park operator in the county. I mean, we wouldn't allow the largest CAFO operator write the regulations for CAFOs. I know that wouldn't fly without public comment and public input. And so I think that's a little suspicious. And the fact that it requires multiple things on RV parks that author already doesn't do, things like fences and trees and handling roads properly. I think it's really suspicious that he brings this up once he has more competition coming into the county against him. I mean, I'd sure love to set the regulations for my future competitors in my business, but that wouldn't be right. But actually on to other issues into there. There is a key issue that's completely ignored, and that's traffic. We are packing 60, 70 RVs onto 4 to 5 acres and, plus boats. That's, the area of 4 to 5 homes. And you're talking 60 to 70 RVs, 100 to 200 cars, plus boats. You got kids running around with UTVs, adults running around with alcoholic beverages on UTVs. And so the way some of these parks have been laid out, where they take their internal traffic and loop it right out onto public right-of-ways, is a serious problem. We are just waiting for that day when the first major accident happens And then who's responsible? Who's liable on the public right of way? Is it the park or is it the county? It's one of the big reasons why we had to close our venue, is because we had one of these roads sitting right there, and the operator of the park has no controls over, or doesn't make any effort to control his crowd. So another thing too, setbacks really need to be followed on these, especially against residences. These parks are not conducive to residential areas. Just ask the poor folks in Utica who are losing their country homes with this noise and traffic of an RV park now being put next to them. There needs to be setbacks, there needs to be screening, there needs to be fences. The trees do a lot to cover the multitude of small storage sheds and all the camper paraphernalia that's covered with tarps and everything. I mean, it's a very crowded situation, and the trees do a lot to at least give a little bit of restoration to the natural beauty of the area. So overall, I'm just looking out for probably the gem of our county, the huge tourism area. I'm hoping someday I can maybe open a tourism business again, hoping that the area gets cleaned up. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comments at this time? All right, we'll close public comment. Item number 5, which we have to wait till 6:10. So let's go to item 6, which is the burn ban resolution. Paul got called to a fire. So he did still want us to go ahead and discuss it. He is asking to put that burn ban back into effect. Don't think we've had rain since, I was trying to remember when the last burn ban was put into
Whenever
effect.
we put it into effect, we get rain, so it's.
Well, and that did happen, and they
Yeah,
pulled
it
the
did.
burn ban resolution.
yeah.
So maybe if we do put it in place, we will get rain. It would be great. I'm all about luck. Any comments on this?
I'd move we put the burn ban resolution back in effect.
Second.
So I have a motion by Kettering, second by Fox, to approve the resolution to provide for temporary emergency regulation of fire hazards in Yankton County. Further discussion? Any comments from the audience? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Resolution is approved, 5-0. We're not quite at 6:10.
Go to 7. Get that out of there.
About 13.
Well, I don't think it really matters where we go. Let's just go to 7 and because the liquor licenses don't take too long. Is Bruce here? Oh, there you go. Sorry, I looked right past you. Come on up.
All right, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing us to be here, and I want to have you take a look at some of the information that we've got about an exciting event that's coming up. I do want to make one thing for sure. Did you all get the link of the video, like from the governor and that type of thing? Were you all given that? Casey, who did you get that to? Okay, it was sent to you guys. If you didn't see it, I would encourage you to take a look at it because it's pretty important. But a lot of stuff there in front of you, but basically, a lot of the commissioners, in fact, they're all new, I think, since we started this project. But just a quick history, and believe me, if anybody understands how tight money is, I can wear all sorts of caps to go along with that. So being here is hard enough in itself. But this event that we have coming up is not only huge, but that's why I really wanted you to see the video, because the governor took enough time to get involved. This is the first time this event's ever been held in the United States. And of course, that means in South Dakota. So very, very big event. Right now, we have 81 countries coming that are registered and over 800 athletes and athlete trainers. It's going to be a huge event. And, you know, I know everybody's going to wonder, where does that come into play? Well, when we got started here, I just want to just give you the quick history that the county and the city, along with what was then YAPG, came up with a package to entertain to the National Association that I represent to move its headquarters here. When we started, part of the agreement was that we had 3 full-time employees. Right now, I think we have 15. And that's been since 2009. So we've grown obviously drastically from what our first thoughts were. The economic development side is huge from a lot of different angles. I know the county doesn't get affected a lot by certain types of economic development, but I'm going to tell you, we have a unique facility here. And I think most of you realize that. One of the things that I just want to add to it is that we've had several of our employees that have moved here from out of state and have bought real estate, have moved into the community, and have become part of the work program that we have. You want me to let Paul go?
Nope, he's good to go.
All right.
He looks tired.
Okay, he can take a break. So anyhow, it's a big event, but I do want to really stress that part because I know one of the ways that you all get money is obviously through real estate taxes. You know, currently we've got 3 employees that have moved here from different states. One example is one of our coaches that's moved here from Texas. You know, they become tax paying, renting, whatever they are, members of the community, and they get vehicle taxes and registration, and of course, indirectly or directly pay real estate. The other thing is the size of these events that we have. You know, when I say 81 countries and 800,000 people, it's real easy to say, and it sounds really cool right away. The residual effect is incredible. The budget for this tournament is right at $4 million, and that's pretty much money that's going to be spent in the community. And I don't mean just in the city limits of Yankton. We had a tournament in February, and we had all of our participants play a game where they put down the restaurants that they liked, you know, they chose for lunch, dinner, breakfast. And we had over 50 restaurants that participated. Obviously, we don't even have that many in Yankton. So it was little places outside the city limits in the county, in other towns. So it's a big impact. You know, it's a big impact for South Dakota. And, you know, I think that being the fact that we are unique is one of the reasons that, you know, the county should get involved in this. You know, in the past, the last one of these we had, which was a world event, was 2015, and the county gave us $40,000 for this. And, you know, at that time, I think the city gave the same. This year, the city gave 40 or 50,000. I'm not even here to ask you for that much, but I'm asking you for somewhere in the neighborhood of 20, 10, whatever it may be, to offset the expenses that we have. You know, and I know you hear economic development and everything else, so that's obviously a huge thing, but the issue that we've got, and we're turning Yankton into something very unique. When I started this, there was no such thing as sports tourism in our state. Now I'm kind of one of the authors, along with the entire city of Sioux Falls, which is really like another state, that is reaping the harvest of this. And there's lots of opportunities ahead that we're going to be looking at. So I think that, you know, when I say 81 countries, once again, we've got US ambassadors coming to this. We've got princesses coming. We're highlighting this community. This is an event that's filmed on NBC Sports. And the only thing I don't want to go in detail over that, except the one thing that looks like this. If you look at the back of your packet, you'll see that our event is held at Riverside Park. And, you know, with Riverboat Days coming up, that's a good reference to use. Riverboat Days is obviously huge, and it's all domestic people, but we're kind of deeming this a mini Riverboat Days. We're going to have several things, but just to give you the highlights and how this brings into the community. And when I say community, I'm talking Yankton County, Bonham County, Clay County, Turner, Hutchinson, whoever is in a listening area to come. We're culminating the event. I'll go backwards. On Saturday night, the 25th, we're having a fireworks display that's going to be the biggest Yankton's ever had. Of course, going into the tournament, it's all filmed on NBC Sports. This is the venue that's set up with the river and the background of the bridge. But the Department of Tourism got involved, and they're actually bringing a mobile Mount Rushmore that's very similar. Most of you have seen the Macy's Day Parade, and you've seen our Rushmore go through it. That's kind of what it is. They'll correct me on dimensions, but I think it's 40 feet long and 30 feet tall. So it's a big thing. That's what our backdrop is going to be. And of course, South Dakota and Yankton are all over this. And this is going out to the media worldwide. Once again, just a great example, but the community involvement, we've got things like Brulee coming. We've got other musical things going on the weekend. We've got an archery fest for people to try archery. We've got tethered hot air balloon rides. We've got reenactors on the Lewis and Clark history that we have, and several things like that. So we've turned that into a big event for the community and for the people coming to visit this community. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I would be glad to answer any questions. I think it's something that Yankton County should be involved in. I think it's something that is just giving back to bringing people here through a lot of different avenues. But any questions?
Anything?
When does this start? Brian, right?
Okay, yeah, and I didn't want to go into real big detail, but it actually starts the 14th of September and ends October 1st. Hence, the people are here for a long, long time. Now, different things happen. Every sport in the world through the Olympics, this is an Olympic event. This is the top event. Every single archer that won a medal in Tokyo will be at this. This is their Olympic, so to speak. The Congress is the representative from each country, the governing body. Okay, and they come in for the first 3 days. That's when a lot of dignitary are here. Then we go into the tournament, which is held at our facility for 4 days. Then we go down to Riverside Park for 3 days. Then we have some parties for everybody. And then we go back down to the river for the World Cup final, which is another event that's only 32 archers, the best 32 from the whole world. So that's how long the whole thing is. And every motel everywhere around here is booked and taken. We've got people coming. And the other thing is, we don't know when, but I know that all of our US representatives, our one representative and 2 senators and our governor will be here at some point throughout this. And we're trying to play that out, so we can get the best bang for our buck for when they come. So yeah, it's a long time.
Bruce, how are you coming with your volunteers?
And glad you mentioned that. At the 15 event, we had 890 volunteers that did 3,000 shifts for this. And I don't know what our numbers are. We had a meeting today, and I think that we're getting there, but it's kind of a bad time of the year for us because school started. And the other events we had were in the summer, which made it easier. However, that's another big advantage, time of the year being a shoulder season. We're bringing a lot of money into town when there's not a lot going on. In fact, my biggest fear is snow, not rain, and we don't stop for anything except lightning like most sporting events, but we don't want to have the whole world leaving here with a bad impression. But the 29th and 30th of September, I know there's some farmers in here. You've all seen snow then. Let's just hope it's not then, but. Yeah, volunteers, we have a whole website. We've got people in charge of that. And right now, how many do we have that are sponsoring this? Was it 100? We have 100 sponsors right now, which is everything from government, state, city, private businesses, manufacturers, you name it, the whole gamut. Biggest issue, and then I'll be done and you can ask any more questions. One of the problems we have, a lot of people say, why do you have to raise money for this? The people that I bid against for this are, well, I'll give you the perfect example. For the last one I bid, our competitor bidding was the city of Mexico City, 23 million people. The city, whatever they're called there, just said, how much do you want? 3 million? Here you go do it. That's the dilemma we have. And we have that dilemma. It's not unique to Yankton. It's unique to South Dakota and a lot of the Midwest. But we're actually getting more and more of that. I got a bid the other day for the USA weightlifting. And, we've got venues now that can hold that. So I think this is kind of the tip of the iceberg. I think we're on the right road, and I think, you know, your support would be obviously greatly appreciated. So what other questions? All right.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you for your time.
So at this time, certainly entertain a motion, or if you feel we need more information, we can delay this.
I think it's something that we have to be involved in, you know, it's impressive that we can host an event like this in our community. It's one of the things that the city's involved, so many different organizations. We need to be a part of this. My opinion.
Patty, do you know how much we have in our commissioner budget? for
No,
this
not,
year?
no. I'm sure we'll, if we, what's in the budget is what is we pay out of, or what we pay through the year, so it's set at that amount. We'll have to supplement if the bottom total is in the red.
Are ARPA funds unable to be used?
I don't,
I would think
I
that'd be
understand.
marginal. I don't know if I could defend that one. Further discussion or action?
I'd move that we approve $20,000 budget to the archery tournament.
Is there a second?
I would second.
So I have a motion by Kettering, second by Fox to approve $20,000 for the 2021 World Archery Championship. Further discussion?
Two things, I guess, a couple things. One, this isn't budgeted for. I would appreciate the requests when this was beginning. I'm sure you've been planning for some time for this tournament. I assume you've been planning for this tournament for some time. Sure.
That's a little bit of a loaded question. If you all know, the Olympics got moved last year and postponed. And we knew dates, but we got no official notification until just 4 to 6 months ago. And believe me, it's a nightmare. And by the way, I don't know what you were talking about, but one thing I didn't say, and I know you got legal counsel here, but we are a 501c3 public charitable organization listed as benevolent and whatever the other one is. So if that makes any difference, believe me, we don't make any money. We'd love that day to happen, but and we would have definitely come back. When we came in 15, we came in the December meeting for the June event, and we would have done that had we known the timing. And you have no idea what the visa process is and getting 81 countries in here. It's an absolute nightmare. And it's a moving target all the time.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Yeah, and I can appreciate that response. But this is something I think is great for the community. I think it's, great for the area. I support it. I have trouble supporting the donation for 2 reasons. One, it's not budgeted for. Thank you for your response. But probably the second thing is we donate to this every year. We don't collect property taxes on this. And I think that's Yankton County's commitment to the archery center. And that was kind of my understanding when that was here, is we all support this, but it does not contribute to our tax base as far as properties go. And I view that as our contribution. I think when that came here, we all assumed that large tournaments were going to be held here. And, this was the potential that was coming with the tournament, or with that facility.
Further discussion?
Well,
Go ahead.
I can appreciate that, Joe, but with COVID going on last year, the mention of the Olympics changing and moving, it would be great if we could budget this in advance, and I think that's kind of what we do in our contingency fund. Don't we have a contingency fund? For events like this that come up. And so I guess my assumption would be we'd take it out of the contingency fund and it would have been budgeted.
Further discussion? All in favor, so the motion on the table is to donate 20,000. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Nay. Motion passes 3-2. 20,000. All right, thank you for coming.
Bruce, will you give me a claim for that? We'll need something to pay for that. We'll need a claim from you.
Like a voucher.
Invoice of some sorts. Did they tell you, Paul, we approved your resolution? Did you need to say anything at all? Okay, I'll let you stand in the shadows. Oh, gotcha. We are going to go back to item number 5 now, since we are past 6:10. We have a temporary liquor license for an Avera fundraiser. So there's 2 of them. We'll take the Avera fundraiser first. So that's item 5.
Was Paul gonna come up and say something and then leave, or?
No.
Oh, you're just.
He's
sticking around?
good.
Okay. Misunderstood.
Do you need 2 or can we do 1?
Separate.
That's
yeah,
okay.
'cause
So
it's separate places.
I'll move approval of the temporary liquor license for a Vera fundraiser.
I'll second that motion.
So I have actually, before I call the vote, would anybody like to make a public comment on this because it was advertised? No public comments. All right. Any discussion?
How come they never show up? Just assume that we'll pass it?
I don't think we've ever denied one, have we?
I don't know. I haven't been here that
They
long.
usually show up. I mean,
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
So we have a motion on the table to approve the Avera fundraiser temporary liquor license for Ben's Brewing. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. The next one is for Ben's Brewing at Amazing Acres event.
Move approval.
Second.
So motion by Clemmers, second by Healy to approve the liquor license application for Amazing Acres. Any public comment? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. So item 5 is closed out. We are at item 8, which is a request to increase load limits on Fleet's Bridge. Jan Odens. Welcome, sir.
Everybody. My name is Jan Odens. I live in Yankton and work at the Growmark FS location at 114 Mulberry and the facility that we have outside of town here at 2301 East Side Drive. I'm here to discuss the possibilities of raising the truckload limits on Fleet's Bridge located on the Jim River on Old Highway 50. Several customers, associates, and I would like the county commission to consider raising the load limits. Current limits are 33 ton for a semi truck and 24 ton for straight trucks. We'd like to see the semis trucks raised to a 40 ton limit and the straight trucks raised to a 27 ton. This would allow most tandem semi tractors and tandem trailers to reach the gross weight limit of the 40 tons, while limiting larger trucks that have more axles at 40 ton also. Most farmer trucks are configured with the tandem axle tractors and tandem trailers, but not all. Some have triple axle configuration. I do have some pictures here, if I could pass them out. Yeah, the first picture is kind of the standard truck that we see most commonly on the road.
Mike,
Did you need
Mike.
that? First picture is a picture of a standard truck with a 80,000 pound, 40-ton legal load limit. Your next picture we have there, that I have there, is the triple axle trailer, which actually is a legal limit of 90,000 pounds, 45-ton. And the third picture is a 96,000 pound legal load where you have a triple axle tractor and a triple axle trailer, 48-ton. So you'd be limiting those trucks on the bridge there. The first truck would be one that most farmers have, that are most common, that kind of maximizes their efficiency and travel there. And then going on here, kind of the effects of going around Fleegs Bridge. You have the additional miles, transportation costs. Example is like from the WNEX Tower corner on Old 50 there to like our Grow Mark facility, you're 1.6 miles. If you're going to go to the east to avoid the bridge, you're going to be going the Blacktop Road on Old 50, Mission Hill Oil Highway 50, you end up 11.8 miles. And if you try to take that gravel road on 446 going south, you got a rough railroad track across there. You got 8.3 miles to get to where your destination. Besides that, your fuel efficiency, most semi trucks 4 to 5 gallons or miles per gallon there. So you got some increased costs there. Additional time to reach the destination. Could add as much as another 20 to 25 minutes to reach your destination. Loaded trucks are much longer, takes much longer to get up to speed and slow down for turns and stop signs. You have some safety issues there. In our situation, you're going to be trying to merge into Highway 50 traffic. At harvest time, no one wants the combine waiting in the field, so everybody's trying to be most efficient and get things done as quick as possible. Spring season kind of got same situations there. You got your added transportation costs, time delays, getting products to the field whenever you're going that northeasterly direction. Even though we want to increase the tonnage on Fleegs Bridge, we're still maintaining the weight restrictions, limiting truck traffic to extend the life of Fleegs Bridge. Other restrictions on the bridge that are currently in place are the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit and the narrow bridge signs that are in place on that bridge. Currently, the state of South Dakota does have signage for 1 truck limit on bridge with 2-way traffic. So there are places where the 1 limit on a bridge is applicable. In review, I believe limiting the Fleegs Bridge to 1 truck at 40-ton, 80,000 pounds versus the possibility of 2 trucks at 33-ton, 132,000 pounds reduces total load on the bridge by 26-ton, 52,000 pounds, thus maintaining the preservation of the Fleegs Bridge. In closing, we look for support from the county commissioners to raise the tonnage on Fleegs Bridge to 40-ton for combination vehicles and 27-ton for straight trucks, and limiting to 1 truck on the bridge at a time with 2-way traffic. We see this as a benefit to local commerce and the ag community. So, thank you for your consideration and questions.
You want this year around, you just don't want
We
it
would
for a
like it
certain
year
time.
round, yes.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Hang on, just a
Of
second.
Mike. Yep. If I can ask him,
You bet.
what do you think of these increased limits year round on a bridge that has issues?
I'm kind of tore on it. It would definitely help out us, like, as of right now, we're going across there with some trucks. We're only loaded 8.5 ton on the one for sure, but to be legal to go across it, but then I look at it, do I want a Johnson Bridge problem, you know, with the welded splice joints cracking? We've had it happen on 1 girder already on Fleegs Bridge. The way I look at it, well, that's just like last year when they had to fix the one on Johnson. Well, we didn't get the bill for that until this year. So that puts me 100,000 behind from last year, unexpected expenditure. But after talking to engineers and stuff, it is a possibility to do it to 1 truck per the, 1 truck at a time on the bridge. He, as of right now, the engineer that would do the calculations is not there. I could get that answer on what the actual load rating would be probably next week sometime. I don't know, I'm just, it worries me because right now the bridge is not eligible for big grant replacement. Do we preserve it or do we use it? Like I said, I'm not against it either way. It's just it's a hard coin to flip.
How do you enforce the one truck?
See, and I remember when I started working here for the county, I remember at one time, there was signs on the bridge that said one truck at a time. Well, I did some research today. In 2012, that got changed to 2440 in 2012. In 2011, there was a one truck at a time sign. Why that got changed, I don't know. I didn't have time to call Johnson and find out because Johnson was the engineers at that time.
So you're saying there's no way? Unless you have a law enforcement sit there,
To keep it at one truck at a time, correct?
correct?
And Mr. Oden's talked about the acceleration and deceleration of these trucks. How's the visibility up and down the road? Right? How far in advance can you see to slow down, and who's gonna say who was there first?
I believe the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit sign is around the, just west bend of the curve, so. And who gets there first? Yeah. Whoever's the most honest, you know, that's what it comes down to.
Would there be, and this is something we'd have to talk to the engineer about it, you know, maybe they flashing red light or, you know, kind of everybody comes to a stop and then goes. I don't know, it's worth exploring our options, and that's where I think, they're not Clark Engineering anymore. but IMEC, we need to bring this to them and say, what do you think? Because they're all over the country, and I'm sure this isn't the first case that happens, but, and that's what you're looking for. You just want to be able to get trucks over that bridge, whether or not, you know, it's a one truck at a time or anything, and that's something we can look into.
What I want to consider is, one
Yeah.
truck at a time.
Yeah.
How do you enforce your load limits now, currently?
Yeah.
Be the same
Exactly. And-
enforcement.
And I think that's something we need to look at, and we could perhaps give it a try, and then if we get, and I know you'll get a call and all of us will get a call. If we get a bunch of people who aren't following the rules, we might have to revisit it, but I would be in support of giving it a try at least. But I think we got to talk to the engineers.
When Johnson Bridge was closed for reconstruction or repair, at one period of time, did we have a one truck limit on that bridge?
Not that I ever
Okay.
recall.
Okay.
I think at that time when we closed it, we were down to 10 ton. Well, and there was complaints on that being broke, so that's when we closed it.
You want to speak before public comment?
I would if I can, and I'm trying to send a text to Doug Kinnenberg with state DOT right now. He said he would call in. So I told him if he's available, I'd send him a text. If he can, he'll call, but couple of points to address. I think enforcement, I think it's rare when we see scales sitting there now to enforce the 33 tons. And I venture to guess that not every truck is 33 tons or lighter going over that for combination. So I think enforcement is extremely simple. If there's two trucks on the road, the second person on there gets a ticket. And we do what we can to enforce that. It should not take, absorbent amount of our sheriff's time to do so. especially at the beginning of when this, if this were to be posted that way. I spoke with Adam with IMEG too. He had sent out the load ratings on all the Jim River bridges, and then what they would be if it was single. What this says is single lane traffic. I've asked him to verify for a single truck. I've got to make the leap that if a single lane supports legal loads, that a single truck would too, but it's something I think we need to just verify. I think one thing to note with extra miles for people going around and a lot of stop and go and turns is that's a lot of increased wear and tear on our other roads. And I feel it's unnecessary. Now, Wanda, I know you made the comment for a bridge that has issues, and I think that's kind of a misperception. When the rating changed from 2440 down to the 2433, it was not due to any deficiencies in the bridge. It's simply a newer, different rating method that the federal government uses today. And so if you look at the engineering reports of that bridge, it's no more deficient today than it was 25 years ago. Now there's a scour below that we need to keep an eye on. But as far as today, next year, the year after, it's very unlikely that that's going to cause issue. So in my opinion, going with the derated signage is fine. It's kind of the new, if you were to build a bridge today, that's how you would rate it. But because there's no deficiencies in the structure today, because in my opinion, a single 80,000 pound truck is less wear and tear than multiple trucks on it at a time. I don't see an issue, and I would support a single truck posting. A couple other things I addressed. I talked to the DOT, and I should be texting him right now to get him to call instead of talking, but I talked with Cody Axland and Doug Kinnenberg as well. My concern was if we posted this at legal loads and down the road wanted to apply for a big grant, what would that do? Because our big score is based off of several factors, and one of them is load ratings. And so their system would see that it's not rated, or there's no load rating on it. They both said that's easily handled. When we were to apply, we simply notate that it's posted at legal loads, but it's a single truck. And for their analysis, they would use our LRFR rating of 3324, which would increase our big score. So that they both, assured us there'd be no concerns with that. And Doug actually was very supportive. I asked him if there was, any liability concerns to the county, any other concerns in general, outside of being unconventional in how it's posted. And he actually encouraged us to move forward with it and said from the DOT standpoint, they're looking for more people to do things like this to keep our bridges open to commerce, because the dollars simply aren't there to replace every bridge in the state. So they're encouraging us to do so. And I'll leave off with that and try to get this sent if you want to move on with more public comment or more comment.
So at this time, welcome public comment. Anybody else would like to make an additional comment beyond what's said already?
Could I say one thing on Joe, on the opening up there 40 ton, we're still having a limit on that bridge, because not, larger trucks like that would still not be able to haul a full legal load there.
Well, if 80, but what IMEG actually sent out, what their analysis showed Like I say, we need to confirm this, but they show legal loads. That bridge would be rated to legal loads if that's the route we wanted.
You mentioned spring time of year.
You're gonna have to come up to for our viewing audience.
I want to direct this straight to Jan. You mentioned the springtime, your sprayers. Do you have any idea what your sprayers weigh, like your, and
Well, we can't run down the road with a loaded sprayer.
address that to help you out?
Yeah, a loaded sprayer or not a loaded sprayer, but you can't run down the road with a loaded sprayer, okay? You'd be overweight on your axles. Just an empty sprayer. The big floater weighs approximately 40,000 pounds. So you got 20 ton there, so. You'd still have we would be unable to go that direction yet with the spring load limits, we'd still be limited with that would change. So to speak,
So what does a loaded sprayer weigh?
A loaded sprayer, you're gonna be, you'll be around out in the field, you'd be 60,000 pounds almost, a max load.
So picture number one
Picture number one is.
will satisfy that.
Yeah.
Any other public comments that anyone would like to add something different to the conversation?
Real quick, while you're waiting, come on up, Ray, but real quick, in this sign, I put them in the packet. These come right out of the federal manual for uniform traffic control, and they're utilized across the country today. So this isn't something new or something we're inventing, I guess.
Ray, I believe it was like 7 or 8 years ago, there was that 20-year transportation study done. And if I recollect correctly, Whiting, the road that they're on, from 50 all the way up past Fleets, which would cross the bridge, is on the docket for an all-weather road. So there are plans from the past that would, if they're gonna do a all-weathering of the road, that should have, I feel, some bearance on this issue and topic. Another aspect, I'm an east sider there, and when I start approaching that bridge and I see the hourglass effect of that bridge, my rectal capacity tightens. So I don't think you ever need to worry about 2 trucks. You may never even see a car and a truck at a time. So there's those aspects about that bridge also.
Thank you. Come on up, Chris.
Not sure if I want to follow that. My rectal capacity is just fine today, but my name's Chris Nelson. I live at 307-23 444th Avenue in Mission Hill. And just want to bring comment about the 2 trucks meeting out there. More of the concern, I've been hauling right now for quite close to 30 years. It's on capacity, whether it's tractors, trailers, 3 trucks, semis, what have you. And generally my rule is anyway, if I'm coming from Yankton, going back out towards where I live at, I'm empty. Whoever's loaded, I'm going to give them the right of the way there. And when you're empty at 40 miles an hour, you can get stopped very easily, because in Yankton, as quick as the lights turn, you can get stopped loaded in Yankton at 30 miles an hour. So it's pretty easy to slow up and let the guy that's coming, just let him keep on coming. As far as, and I think everybody that lives out that way, we've had enough years of having to go around, whether it be over 448 or take the gravel or find alternate means or come light. And I think we'll all want to respect it and make it work. None of us that live out there, any of us that are sitting here today, want to abuse the system and have it taken away and have to go back to the way we are currently. So I think majority users there are going to treat it with respect and try to do the right thing. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments?
Nelson. We farm both sides of the river, probably 60% on one and 40 on the other. And we're probably spending 2,000 miles a year going around them bridges, being, with the heavies, gotta go clear down to new 50. And I guess the other comment I got, remember when it was a one truck per bridge rule, I always remember it being fairly well respected. And I mean, alternative is put up warning signs ahead that be prepared to stop on the bridge. So I think it can be workable and done, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Drew.
Other comments? All right. Any other questions by the commission at this time? I don't know if we're ready to make a decision tonight.
I really feel we need to get IMEG in here because they're the ones who just did the inspection and, generally supportive of looking for an option that would help you. And from what I'm understanding, you guys are okay if we post it as just a one truck bridge or single lane. So we pay good money to IMEG. If you could, Mike, could you kind of give them our thoughts and see if they can come up with a solution that would work with you guys, and then have them come back and maybe they'll say this isn't a problem. Maybe they'll have a good solution. We can go from there, but I don't feel comfortable making any decision without those guys here. So tonight.
I have a question, Mr. Odens. How many people, farmers, folks that you know, use the 67 and the 70-foot trucks? Most, not so many. Do most people use the,
Most of them use the smaller ones. It's probably 20-30% that have the larger trucks. We have like 8 trucks, but we have all the larger trucks. We don't have the smaller truck in that picture there, the first picture. And there's other people in that area that have the triple axle trucks.
but most have these double axle?
The majority is that way, yes.
Probably most owner operators probably have that, and more the commercial has
Right.
the triple or
I agree with Dan and would support the recommendation if we get concurrence that there is no liability and no danger in doing this.
One thing we need to consider too is, the paving of Walshtown Road and Highway 46 being closed down. I mean, part of what I brought up a couple months ago is that, we weren't worried about that because this bridge is load rated, and I'm not worried about the local guys, but I'm worried about people coming off of Highway 46 coming south and not knowing what they're getting into until they're there. So we need to talk to IMEG and maybe rehash this at the next meeting if they come up with a
When they
solution.
work on Highway 46, will that be open for westbound traffic or?
Mike, do you know that, Mike?
it's gonna be close. I don't,
It's
they're gonna do it in say,
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
in very good shape. I mean, we run that road going,
Okay,
sometimes Highway 18 is a
sure.
better option.
it'll be closed. They're gonna do it in sections. 18 is gonna be the detour route that the state will use, so.
That's the other thing.
Right.
on the road.
So, and then Don and Dan, to touch on IMEG, I've been in conversation with Adam several times on this, and so he's aware of what we're looking at. He asked if he should be here tonight. I told him I didn't feel it was warranted. I thought we would kind of test the waters, but if we assume, the load rating's right and whatever, and there's looks like it's favorable, then he said he could come down, and I think we'd have to probably draft a resolution for this anyway to change that.
I
So
hear they have things called Zoom.
there's Zoom.
Okay.
Speaking
Well,
of which,
And you can really almost count that if we do it on plagues, there'll be 3 others that'll follow.
you're probably right. Kind of on that, and I told Mike this earlier, the way I look at this is we can legally use LFR rating, which would be the the legal load rating. It only impacts the big score. As far as liability goes, I've been assured from DOT that it's not a county liability issue, but back to kind of the bridges being derated, I don't see derating this bridge as it is today any different than us leaving spring load limits on year round to preserve our roads. And I don't think any one of us would consider keeping spring load limits on year round just because it makes our roads last longer. The bridge, in my opinion, the bridge was built to be used for commerce, and I think it's our obligation to do so, as long as it can be done safely and properly.
That being said, and I agree with you, and one of the important things we have to do too, and part of my thought process is we got to preserve these bridges are coming to the end of their useful life. And just like Mr. Sadlodchik says, if we use it a little too hard and we break it, there's going to be consequences to the whole county. So I'm looking at doing a plan that hopefully won't do that. And we can keep this going until it needs to be replaced. We all know it needs to be replaced. It's the second in priority, and hopefully that comes sooner than later.
So are there any specific questions you would like Mike and Joe to talk to IMEG about for either the next meeting or the second meeting in September?
Ask him.
If you think of something, email me. If I believe Doug with the DOT, he's texted that he's listening. Is he on Valley? I don't know if he actually got called in or not. I know he had some things going on tonight. That might be, is it a 381? Yes. Does anybody have any questions?
Let's
for the
hear what he
DOT?
let's hear what he has to say, if he would. Doug, can you unmute yourself?
Hello?
I think he had his grandchildren tonight, he said, so.
Hands
You
full.
never know what's.
Well, if we can't make it work, we can certainly get in contact with him again for
Right.
the next meeting.
Yep.
All right.
So is it,
I think the general consensus is to proceed.
okay.
Okay. Anything else, Mike? Okay, all right. We will close item number 8, and it will be on either the first or second meeting in September. All right. Thank you all for coming. Item number 9.
You have 3 plats tonight. First one being plat of Lot 9, Block 2, Law Overlook subdivision in the northeast quarter of Section 18, Township 93 North, Range 56 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Second.
And this is for block 2.
Correct.
Yes.
Lot 9, Block 2.
I had asked about this. Should this have a roll call vote? It doesn't have to. Okay. Roll call vote.
Okay. So there are a motion by Clemish, second by Fox to approve lot 9, block 2, law overlook plat. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Second one's plat of Lot 13 of Block 4, Law Overlook subdivision in the southeast quarter of Section 7 and in the northeast quarter of Section 18, all in Township 93 North, Range 56 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Motion?
Kettering moves.
Second.
Moved by Kettering, second by Clemish to approve the plat for lot 13, block 4, law overlook plat. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Last one is plat of lot 4, Whitetail Run in the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of section 16, township 93 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Healy, second by Fox to approve lot 4 of Whitetail Run plat. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
The reason why I asked if that should be called a resolution is because what I put in the minutes, it says resolution. And that's why I asked, because the other auditors were talking about it. I just wanted to make sure that
We got any plots left to plant or it's like we're running out.
There's a few out there yet.
So item number 10, campground approval checklist.
So as Mr. Heine mentioned, Matt Evans had approached the chair and vice chair here about having a campground RV checklist. One thing that should be mentioned is the checklist is more or less just for providing materials for the meeting. Obviously, it doesn't do anything with what's approved at the meeting in regards to fencing, screening, any of those kind of things. So this was just a request that was made to try and keep everybody consistent with what they maybe should provide for the meeting. So that's what this campground checklist was for.
Were you were just providing this for our information more or less, is that? correct?
Yeah, and whether or
Okay.
not you felt it was a good idea to move forward as handing this out when they come in to for a meeting for this kind of RV park.
I mean, I don't think it's bad. I think there's some good stuff in here, but I guess not every location is gonna need a privacy fence all the
Correct.
way around, and I hate to use the all and the must, because that's why we have a conditional use permit process, so I think there's good things in here, but
I think it should include trees.
I have a hard time doing that, mandating some of those when you don't know what the project is, because we've got campgrounds before that already have have trees in there. And if it's, you must plant trees, then do they have to plant other ones into the addition to what's already there? That's, in my opinion, that's what the conditional use permit process is for. So if the planning commission or board of adjustment determines that, they can always add that as a condition to it later.
Well, as somebody who drives
Mhm.
down Highway 52 2 times a day, I see lots of campgrounds and not very many trees.
Mhm.
Mr. Evans in the Riken campground has fences and trees, and he put in the trees, and I believe he put in the fence. The next one was Barry's Vacation Village was actually there first. He has fences, but they're more 2-row fences and not block screen fences. He has trees. Keith Tachek has one that has trees and again, not screening fences, but the rest of them, at least that I can see from the road, don't appear to have any trees. But the new one that seems to be at the bottom of the hill on the left side has planted a good amount of trees, which when they grow up will be very nice to screen the campers.
I believe that's a golden campsite. Who hasn't come in yet? Has he?
He went through a
Mm.
plant PUD.
He won't be coming in,
Yeah.
so
went
he's
through
already
the
licensed, so.
But it's, I thought at one point in time, there was the Highway 52 beautification, and I don't think storage units and campgrounds do much for beautification, whereas trees do.
I think coming up with a checklist is a good thing. I caution that it gets leaned on too hard as, sometimes you have
agree.
people sit here and they did the checklist.
They
and
think it's
so
gonna be
good.
automatic.
Yeah, or they didn't do something on the checklist, we're not gonna approve it until they do. But I do think it's a good starting point. I've got to agree with Mr. Heine that I think eventually, as this kind of evolves, we can start using it maybe, but some of this probably should be put into an ordinance form. We all know how lengthy that process is, so I think this is a good starting point.
Joe, are you suggesting that there should be an additional paragraph added that would say this may or may not be all the considerations that are required to obtain a permit? Do we have that in there, Gary?
We can certainly add it.
I think something like that would be good, and maybe soften some of the language. I don't, the all and the, I don't know. But as long as it's, clear that this is kind of a recommendation or guideline.
I agree.
Well, why don't you change the caption then to recommended checklist?
We can do that. Sounds good to me.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thank you, sir. And one more thing for you, item 11.
Yeah, the last item is, we had another resignation for Planning Commission. Doug Heavily resigned, and so this will go out to advertise to finish his term, which would end in April 2023. Just an informational.
Thank you.
Scary.
Item 12, discuss adding Juneteenth to the handbook as a county holiday. We've been putting this off because we've been kind of busy and felt we could squeeze this in. The federal government has added Juneteenth to their handbook. The state government has not adopted it into state law. I know the governor this year gave Juneteenth off, and I know there was legislation in the legislature this year that was not approved. I think everything was moved to the 41st day. I was asked if we were considering it, so I put it on the agenda to see if anybody was interested in adding it officially to our handbook, or if waiting to see how the state proceeds after legislative session.
I would move to wait till after the legislative session, see what they do.
Regardless, it's still gonna be a federal holiday, and I know we don't observe all of those, but I guess I would be fine with adding it as a holiday. I'm sure the legislature is gonna add it.
Well,
I'd second Wanda's so we can discuss it.
Some counties gave it, the commissioners gave it off to some counties.
Gave it off or added to the handbook though.
No, they gave it off to them this year.
kind of like what we used to do with Good Friday. And we did already add another holiday to our handbook when we approved that. So there is a motion on the table to delay this decision until after the legislative session for 2021. Don did second it. Further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. So motion carries. We will delay consideration for this until after the state legislature has taken action, if they do. Item 13, approve the August 13 meeting minutes.
August 3.
Oh, 3, sorry. Just adding numbers in. Do I have a motion to approve the August 3rd, 2021?
moves.
Do I have a motion by Kettering?
Second.
Second by Fox to approve the August 3rd, 2021 meeting minutes. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. We are at item 14. We'll start with claims.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion by Healy, second by Clemish to approve the claims that were presented. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. We have a separate claim for Harmelink and Fox Law Office.
Move approval.
Second.
So I have a motion by Clemish, second by Kettering to approve the claim for Harmon Lincoln Fox Law. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 4-0 with Fox abstaining. Auditor treasury report and pool cash reports.
Move approval.
Second.
So I have a motion by Healy, second by Clemish to approve the auditor treasurer and pool cash reports. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Unanticipated revenue.
And this is just revenue received for the ambulance for insurance.
Did we
Go back
hit,
into his budget.
did we hit somebody or did somebody hit us? Or what happened?
I don't know. I just received the check and
Do we know what happened?
I don't.
I do not.
Or just seen collision on there. Hadn't heard of it.
Is there a motion yet?
Not a motion yet, no. Go
Move
ahead.
approval to accept the
Unanticipated.
unanticipated revenue. I couldn't think of unanticipated.
I'm messing up numbers and. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Healy, second by Kettering to approve the unanticipated revenue for the ambulance department. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Flu vaccine for county employees. Normally, we approve payments for those.
I would move approval of the $46 per vaccination fee for employees.
We have that as optional, correct? That's not-
Correct.
Okay, I'll second that.
So motion by Healy, second by Clemish to approve paying $46 for employees who would like to get a flu vaccine. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Schedule meeting with organized townships. So I did send out an email, and this has to do with the $3 million that the state allocated to counties to do an inventory of structures on township roads. So they're greater than 16 feet in opening and less than 20 feet long. So our county was allocated about $35,000. They finally came out with the guidelines associated with how to do the inventory. At the end of this month, the state and South Dakota LTAP are holding a meeting to start disseminating this information. So I am looking for a Friday in September, 9 o'clock, when we could bring all of the townships in to talk about how we're going to get the inventory completed. I had one response from the townships, and the gentleman said the earlier the better, because you never know when the snow is going to fly. The combine, yep, it's going to be an early harvest this year because it's so dry. So,
Which is another reason to get that bridge deal on the first
Yeah, I think we want to
meeting.
find all our answers by that first meeting on that.
so when I look at September, we've got Friday, the 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, or the 24th.
Let's do the 3rd.
All work for me.
Wanda,
I have something on the 3rd, and I don't recall if I have something on the 10th, so I would vote the 10th.
the 10th.
10th, I doesn't work for me.
The what?
The 10th, I can't do the 10th. I
Okay.
can do the 3rd. I can do,
Well, if more people can do the 3rd, and I'll come when I'm done.
Okay, so let's tentatively schedule September 3rd, 9 o'clock, and I will make sure all the township boards know that. Here, yep. 3rd, 9 a.m. So Valley, if you'd get that on our calendar for this room. Thank you. Hopefully we'll know a lot more after that last meeting in this month. So now we are at cannabis licensure discussion. And our state's attorney's office has done a lot of legwork. in this area. And what is in the packet is, let me get back to it here. 16. So there are 3 documents in the packet. There are 2 documents that look at actually updating our zoning ordinance. And then there is one that focuses on the license for marijuana. In Ms. Lilly's research, she could not find a county across the state that had zoning in place that was not updating their zoning. It was highly recommended that we update our zoning to make it very clear what our intent is. If you were a county that did not have zoning, then obviously they only have the one document, and that's the license ordinance. So of those 2 zoning updates, one of them is fairly simple, and the other one is more involved. And I know I've got them printed here somewhere.
Second one is a simple one.
The second one, the new article, there's an amendment option and a new article option. And I think the amendment option was the simpler version.
Correct.
Correct. That added some definitions and then
Yep, so essentially it's 1 1/4 pages long. So as Joe stated, it adds definitions for what cannabis is, a cultivation, a dispensary, a manufacturer, a testing, an establishment, and a non-licensed establishment. So those would be the definitions we would add to the ordinance. And here she has listed Article 10 Commercial District, and it is listed as a permitted principal use for all 4. And in Lakeside Commercial District, which is Article 11, it is listed as permitted principal use for all 4. Now, I know at one time we had talked about allowing it anywhere in the county. For the most part, across the state, folks are limiting it to specific areas. And they're doing that with the idea that they can always expand it. So if we feel we need to add it into other articles in our zoning, this is where we would add that language. So if we want it to be in agriculture, if we want it to be, I think most of us felt residential was inappropriate.
Depending on, what it is, because cultivation is probably different than an establishment that sells it. We have a lot of large R1 lots, for example, where it would probably be okay to cultivate it, but you wouldn't want a dispensary there. So those are the types of things that we would have to consider.
So now we've had
Mm.
9 months to think about this.
Mm.
So I think we need to be concise with our discussion here and state exactly where we stand. I am good with commercial and lakeside commercial to begin with. The one that I would consider adding here is agriculture. And certainly for the manufacturing, the cultivation, and the testing, I'm not so sure about a dispensary in agriculture. So that's what I would certainly be open to considering if other commissioners felt we needed to have that here. But I do not feel we should have it anywhere in the residential area. You can certainly grow your own plants. We're not regulating that.
So are we on the first come first? If I'm there first growing my marijuana plants and then Joe decides he wants to build a house next door, I can still have my cultivation?
That's,
Because that's what I foresee with all these ordinances. But I agree, I don't think that they should start in a residential area. I think it should be lakeside commercial, commercial, agricultural,
Mhm.
but I just don't want to have people unhappy because Mr. Clemish has decided he wants to put, I'm going to pick on him today, put up a dispensary in the middle of a field and then have Mr. Kettering start building houses around it.
So the reason that I kind of focused mine was I looked in our ordinance, bars. Bars are a CUP in an ag district. Bars are not allowed in any residential or manufactured home district. It's not allowed in rural transitional, and PUDs are all kind of standalone. So the only place you can put a bar in our county is in an ag district with a CUP or in commercial and lakeside commercial. So if we're limiting the location of bars, which has been around for a very long time, and we are introducing a new business that's right now is not federally approved, I have a hard time saying you can put it in a residential zone or a manufactured home zone.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and that's my
Makes sense.
argument. So when I pulled and I
sense.
looked through all of those.
So my initial thoughts was allowing in commercial, lakeside commercial, agricultural, and RT with the hopes and intents that RT is going away someday.
I guess
Which might become, might come residential, might become, agricultural. We don't really know. Couple of thoughts I've had is if we were all looking at just a permitting option and that's acceptable, then the least common denominator, the easiest path is it's permitted everywhere. I think we recognize that it probably should not be in residential areas. And as far as like a bar being a CUP in an ag district, you could sit at the bar for 12 hours. Where a dispensary, it's in and out, it's a retail store.
Because you cannot smoke there.
And so, and then my other thought is there's some pretty hefty licensing requirements that go along with this. And I just don't know that we're gonna have a lot of people out in the middle of the country wanting to open up a dispensary.
It's
You know,
not likely, no.
So I would just partly for ease, I would just say everything in those districts except for residential. And, because certainly you could have a test facility or something else in an ag district.
I don't like the idea of including rural transitional, and my thought is if they want to do this, then they should come in and rezone it, because that's the whole intent of RT, from what I'm told, and Gary, correct me if
I
I'm
could
wrong,
support that.
is that we don't know what this is gonna be, but when you figure it out, then come and don't stay RT, go to something else.
I could
So
support that.
in that regard, I think that's a good idea.
I
So-
guess if there's a dispensary there, then it wouldn't be rural housing.
No, I mean, rural transitional, yeah.
Yeah, after,
exactly.
if it was rural transitional and I put a dispensary up there, then it would not be rural housing after that.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that argument,
Mhm.
what we would have to do to this simple update is to add Article 5 with the exact same language. So we would have Article 5, 10, and 11, which is ag, commercial, lakeside commercial, and all four would be permitted uses. They have to come in and get the license, which requires a hearing. So there is a hearing in the process. Are we comfortable with that?
So on that,
As a conditional use.
I'll tell you the argument Sherry and I talked about that a little bit too. My argument about like a dispensary as an ag business
Kind of.
would be, there's barley and beer though, and I can't count that as an ag, a bar as an ag business. So I think someone could make the argument and probably maybe will and might push it, but to me, common sense would say it's not an ag business. Now, if you're growing,
It's a medical business. This is supposed to be
yeah, I
medical.
would say it'd be medical. If you're growing, that might be an ag business. If you wanted a 5-acre greenhouse considered an ag business, probably could make that argument.
So are we looking at the long version or the short version?
The short version. I just didn't think anyone had an appetite for the long version. because some of it's repeated in the license
I think
style.
much of it is either covered in the licensing requirements or state legislature.
Yep. So now with that agribusiness, should we at this time in those definitions say this can be considered an agribusiness? This cannot be considered an agribusiness. Can we just add it to these definitions? So
There you go.
with that,
Or add it to the agribusiness definition.
Are you just saying dispensary, or are you saying the cultivation and whatever else they do with it?
so the only reason it means something is the ordinance we just amended allows for 5 acres. That's the only reason we have to clarify. So do we want to allow any of these 4 to buy 5 acres and build an establishment?
I think we should just leave it out of there, to tell you the truth, because, I mean, if somebody wanted to set up a new bar in the country, then they have to, that's not a agribusiness, so they'd have to either buy 20 acres or go through the variance. I think it's simpler, just leave it off and we can
What about the
deal
growth?
with it later.
I could
Well-
easily say manufacturing is not agribusiness, and testing's
So
probably not, and dispensary's not.
I would just
Cultivation
leave
is
it.
not an agribusiness?
Cultivation would be the only thing that I'd say is it could qualify.
Yeah.
So can I have a field of beans and say I'm cultivating and that's an agribusiness?
Field of beans.
You see what I'm saying? You're growing marijuana, you're
just
growing
leave it
soybeans,
off.
you're growing.
Yeah. I don't
That's
know why you couldn't.
agriculture.
Well, what is our definition of agribusiness though? Because it's a supportive, it's like a,
And herein
I
lies
gotta
the
look.
problem with ordinances.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whereas if
Yeah,
we
should
had a
just revoke the
license,
whole
we
thing,
would just
right?
be done.
And, you know,
I would say leave it then and
Okay, so from this 2 sheets in front of me, the only thing we're adding is Article 5 with the same verbiage. Because we have to have a
Yeah.
special meeting August 31st, and this document will be part of the public hearing. It'll have to be a joint meeting with the planning commission.
So we're adding this to our Article 5?
well, to the whole current ordinance.
Yeah, so these definitions will be put in the ordinance. In Article 10, this will be put in permitted,
Okay.
and 11, and then Article 5.
I thought we were going back to revisit Article.
Oh, gosh,
5.
no.
No.
Are you
So-
crazy?
Well,
Just
that's what was concerning to me. I've had as much as I can take of Article 5.
If anyone cares, agribusiness, our definition is business which directly supports the agriculture industry such as suppliers of feed.
There we
seed.
go.
So it's a supportive business anyway, so growing.
Wouldn't count.
So
So Article 5, we need copy this language down. All right. Now the next document that is of importance is the ordinance. An ordinance regulating medical cannabis establishments in Yankton County. Now, this was taken essentially from Clay County.
I just moved to adopt it. Since
Well,
we're-
there's-
We're going down the ordinance path anyway.
Okay, there's some things in here we need to. Section 4 is number of licenses.
I thought we decided unlimited and see how many lived.
Well, my opinion is, I feel we should limit it. There's
Didn't
2
we
that have
say-
already said unlimited. Now, last time at our last meeting, 10 was thrown out for each one. So final thoughts. Because Sioux Falls has got 5, Lincoln County's got 1 or 2. What
so
was-
what would be reasons to limit and reasons to go unlimited? I know we kind of talked about the reasons for unlimited.
They're
I
gonna,
think was that they'll
they'll live or
cannibalize
die.
Themselves, yeah. So reasons to limit, I guess.
On that. Again, I go back to it's not federally approved yet. We don't know where recreational is going to fall. Eventually it will be here too. And my opinion is the recreation is going to put the medical out of business. Because if you can buy it legally, there's no reason to get a prescription for it. And baby steps. This is a whole new ball game. Our sheriff has to deal with all of this. I just think it's in our best interest to limit it. The city is limiting it to 2. So, but those are my thoughts, and there are
Why don't
5
we-
of us voting.
Why don't we just go with 10? Why don't we just go with 10? And like the on and off sale package liquor, how many have we had? 2?
Mhm.
Maybe
Yeah.
we'll get a bunch, maybe we won't get any. Who
Mhm.
knows?
We.
Maybe they're all waiting for recreational.
That's kind of the conversation I think we had at the last meeting is, why limit it? This is no matter how we see it, it is medical for people's problems. And I think, Joe, you had a good point of talking about liquor licenses, how people get them and then don't want to let them go. And I think that's the reason. 10, I'd be fine with it and let the free market decide.
Okay, and if you read in here, you
Mhm.
can't just sell your license. The new person has to come in and get the license. So with that line of thinking at 10, we're talking 40 total licenses, 10 at each.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm just filling in the blanks here because these are blanks right now.
Okay. Did you fill in the blank on page 1, sub 1, section 1, sub A? To fill in the districts? Did you put in everything but rural housing?
Okay, you've lost me there.
It also says it's a conditional use, which the other one says is a permitted use. So that
Yep,
needs to
and
be-
so-
You might be on the long ordinance.
I'm
not
on the long
permitting
one.
Ordinance.
Hello, this is Deb Lilly from Colorado.
Chime in, Deb.
So, hey, so be careful. So I think Wanda's looking at the long zoning ordinance.
I am.
Go to the licensing ordinance. But understand, Sherry, everything is in there right now. So the way you did the zoning is going to affect what has to stay in the licensing ordinance. Okay, so right now it includes all sorts of things that you probably won't need, including definitions. So the licensing ordinance doesn't have to go to the planning commission.
Yes, that's
So what I
correct.
would,
Yep,
sug-
yep.
so what I would suggest is everybody look at that. The things you had to decide tonight were how much and how many. And I think you agreed on 5,000. So you have to agree on how many. And then we've got to work our way kind of backwards and take out what we don't need in there because you allowed it as a permitted use in those different zones.
Thank you, Deb.
Does that make sense?
It helps a great deal. So if you look at section
Okay.
5 in this license, there shall be an application fee in the amount of 5,000. The county will reimburse 2,500 for applicants who fail to obtain a registration certificate from the state of South Dakota. So, and that Clay is doing that. And then B, there shall be a renewal fee for any license issued under this ordinance in the amount of,
X.
we want that to be 5,000 as well,
No, well,
a renewal fee.
Where are we at?
We're in
we're on
section
the first
5.
one in the packet.
First item.
I think that's where
So I think
got
that's
goofed
essentially
up.
what Deb is kind of getting at is we don't have to spend a great deal of time on this license. We can tackle that.
How many and how much, right?
In an
at the-
ordinance.
How many, how much? So are we good with a $5,000 renewal fee?
For some reason, I thought we were mimicking the city, but
And is theirs 5,000?
No, theirs is 15, isn't it?
For renewal.
I don't know. Sioux Falls is 50,000, so,
Well, I know, well, Sioux Falls has 250,000 people.
and they're only allowing 5 dispensaries.
Well, and then those people are gonna make a ton of money.
So I'm good with a renewal of 5,000 because we get nothing from the state on any of the income. This is our income to enforce it.
That includes the sheriff and the.
That's
ambulance
true.
and everything
The
else,
whole
so-
shooting match.
And then are we required to reimburse an applicant who fails to obtain a certificate? I mean, what, I guess why?
We're
would
not
we-
required to do that, no.
I would just get rid of that then and there should be an application fee in the amount of $5,000, period. Get rid
No,
of all the reimbursement part. That's not our, if somebody comes in, we're doing the hearing and we're doing all that. If they don't follow through, I don't see why we're reimbursing them for that.
well, it's not that they don't follow through, it's that the state
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give them a license. There's a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
And I think if you aren't going to get to benefit from the application, they should give half of it back.
What if we just lower the initial application and then charge 5,000 for renewal? So made that
You mean 2,500 and then 5,000 to renew?
right.
That's fine. Because that's going to weed them out anyway.
And it gets rid of the reimbursement portion.
And whoever,
I-
whoever types this up
Pretty-
should put page numbers on it
Benign on this topic.
in the future.
Any thoughts, Don?
No.
No? So I've got two proposals out there. One is to do the initial at 5,000, and if they don't get the states, you give 2,500 back and then 5,000 renewal. We've got a 5,000, 5,000, and then we've got a 2,500, 5,000. Where are we gonna fall?
My thoughts is if we're not gonna reimburse, then lower it.
I'm
So
sorry.
I'm happy, if we're not gonna reimburse, then lower the initial, but I'm fine with how it's stated here.
I'm good with keeping everything at 5,000, because if they're going to go through all the effort to apply, the state's, I don't think the state's gonna have a lot of
Reason to do.
reason to deny.
So.
Yeah,
Sherry's
they
what,
actually have lots of reasons.
if you're,
to
what you're
deny.
saying, you're willing to have the county reimburse the full amount? Is that, did I hear that right? I
No,
thought-
no, you
oh.
didn't. I said
Okay.
charge them 5,000 at the beginning and 5,000 to renew.
And then what about a reimbursement? Are you? okay
And
with
I
that
don't
or not?
care about, I mean, I'm open. If
I
you want to
just-
get rid of it, fine. If you want to keep it, fine. I
How are
don't
we
care.
gonna, I mean, the reimbursement will come to you, won't it, Patty? I mean, it's just a big,
It has to go through our claims.
kind of a big mess to do that. If there's a way to not have
Just go
reimbursement, I
5
would.
and 5 then.
5 and 5?
Five,
Five and
and then
five?
with no reimbursement?
Okay, we're
Yes, yeah,
cutting out the
that's
reimbursement
exactly,
then.
yep.
And I think those are the decisions we had to make.
Geez, let's do some more ordinances.
Whew. So, but everybody really needs to read this, because when I compared this to what the state has, there's a lot of stuff in here that the state doesn't have. And how far they can be from a school, how a worship place, et
This
cetera,
is-
et cetera.
This is very much like the cities.
So,
And so Sherry, Deb again. So because of the way you set it up, a lot of that setback and stuff probably will not stay. Because it's a permitted use now. So any of that kind of stuff would not, it isn't something that you're regulating.
yep.
So that's what I said with, now that you guys have decided how to zone it, we'll have to go back and take out the sections that don't apply. And Wanda, I will put page numbers on.
Thank you. It's the
And I-
least you could do.
I think the only, well, I'd have to read more thoroughly, but some of the only things that would apply would be like in the county would be places of worship or a daycare or something. But there really aren't any country schools.
No. No.
So I,
Are we
There's a
having-
couple of daycares out of the county.
yeah.
Are we
I hope
having
you know the difference
setbacks?
between a 21-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Are we having any setbacks if it's a permitted use?
It would just be the building
Just be
setback.
your-
Okay. Because in here on one of the page, it talks about 2640, so that's all gonna go away then.
Well, that's something that, yeah, needs. If it's gonna be permitted, that would have to go away in the application or in the licensing ordinance.
Okay. Are we good with that then? Thanks for calling in, Deb.
You are welcome. I didn't trust Rob. Sorry, bye.
So we will close out item 16. Item 17 will be after executive session. So let's go to public comments. Any public comments at this time? No public comments. We will close public comment. Commissioner updates. Okay,
I attended a federal prison meeting today by telephone. And they seem to be doing all right, but their numbers are low. Three something.
Is that good or bad?
6 is better.
any other updates?
Yeah, some good news for a change. I've been appointed to the Veteran and Military Service Committee for NACO. So I guess I was surprised by that, but they're asking me to go to, one of the committee events coming up. I think was it next year? I forwarded to Gary, so might attend that, but it's nice to be able to advocate for veterans on a national level. So it's an honor.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
What was that called?
Veteran and Military Service Committee for our national NACO. National County Officials. I think that's what that stands for. So.
All right, well, if there are no other updates, we need to go into executive session for core relief pursuant to 125(2), 2813, 2813, 1.3 for litigation pursuant to 125(2) subpart 3 and personnel issue 125(2) subpart 1. Entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I would move that to go into executive section.
Motion by Fox, second by Kettering to go into executive session. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are now setting as in executive session. All right, are we ready? Entertain a motion to go back into regular session.
So
I would
moved.
move to
Second.
go back into regular session.
Second.
So I have a motion by Fox, second by Clemish to go back into regular session. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are now back in regular session.
I would make a motion to offer the Director of Equalization position to Jessica.
Second.
At a grade 11, step zero.
Step 0, yes.
Okay, so I have a motion by Fox, second by Clemish to name Jessica Atkinson as Director of Equalization, grade 11, step 0. Further discussion? All in, Dan did.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0.
Do we? Are we already? Do you want to go into HR day discussion? It's on the agenda as item 21.
Well, we can go ahead and discuss it here, yes.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure.
Do you want to explain the issues or do you want me to?
You better.
You. So our HRA that the commissioners this year committed to paying for the first $750 of medical expenses for employees who were on our insurance plan. The previous year, we had done the last $750, but we did it this year because we changed insurance companies and we wanted to share some of the savings with the employees. come to find out that there are legal ramifications in the Affordable Care Act that do not allow us to do this in an easy fashion for folks who have an HSA. There are too many hurdles, we feel, to make sure it's done correctly. So we are looking at revoking that offer and replacing it with something else. Any other comments on that anyone wants to make?
I would just say that I did some checking with an accounting firm, well, two accounting firms, and it is economically not feasible for the county to do that because most people will not hit the $1,875 required limit. Plus, there's an additional accounting cost or fee for those services. So
Cost prohibitive to ensure that we got it done correct. So with that,